But those red flags is that most of the time the reason that the relationship ends. And then we start to blame ourselves and we start to feel guilty, thinking, how did I miss that? It was just right in front of me. Hey, it's Dilara. Today's episode is all about red flags, and it's red flags mainly I'm going to refer to in regards to the romantic relationships, but the red flags could be applicable for friendship as well, even business relationships. So red flags is one of those things that what we're referring is that the warning signs. It's literally red flag. You say, hello, danger, danger. But what we do, we end up ignoring them. It's because we don't take it seriously. We think, oh, okay, it doesn't matter. We brush off. But those red flags is that most of the time the reason that the relationship ends. And then we start to blame ourselves and we start to feel guilty, thinking, how did I miss that? It was just right in front of me. So I'm going to give you specific examples. I'm not going to go into the whole concept of toxic relationships or abusive relationships and narcissistic abusive relationships or anything like that. I want you to bring a different dynamic of it to you guys so we can start to see things in a bigger picture. The first thing that we need to do, we need to start to listen to people, what they say, and we need to believe what they say, and we need to take it seriously. But I'm not saying that if you meet somebody like straight away they say that you're the love of their life and those kind of things, because even that is a red flag itself. But what I'm referring to, for example, again, one of my clients, actually, she's recovering narcissistic abuse survival. And when we unpack for certain things in that relationship, that it was very interesting that everything she did not realize and she dismissed completely, actually, he was telling her who he was. For example, one of the things that when they got together, that straight away he started to call her, you're my girlfriend, you know, we're together. And this is a huge red flag, guys. If you meet with somebody and they start to love bomb you and they want to call you their girlfriend, their boyfriend so quickly, this is a red flag. Okay? And I'm not saying that if you had a long-term friendship, for example, you know each other for a long time, maybe you work together for a long time, and then you just realize that you have feelings for each other, you get into the relationship, and that could be an exception. But I'm talking about in the general terms. So really quickly labeling, branding, and trying to get that committed relationship and that level of ownership, that's a red flag. Because if somebody starts that quickly, you can tell that they're gonna get out of it that quickly in the same time. The other thing is that, particularly for this client, so I'm going to give an example of that. She said to me that his exact words is that he said, I don't have any limits. And she thought this was exciting, this was adventurous, and obviously she had a bit of a wounded self-worth as well. So she liked that feeling. She liked that somebody would fall in love with her so fast, and somebody would just say, hey, you know, there are no limits, so I'm open for everything. But what he meant actually, there are no boundaries. So I have no limits, and that means you have no limits. And it came to the point that in that relationship dynamic that there were absolutely no boundaries, and he genuinely didn't have any limits. And throughout that relationship and the breakup and after following events, he had no boundaries, he had no limits. So when she thought that was exciting and adventurous thing that he was referring to, actually he was telling her what could be the things that he was going to do and potential things that was going to come with that relationship. So the second example that I want to share with you guys, so then you can actually be aware of, this might sound like narcissistic relationships, but I'm not talking about in that context, particularly for this video. Where that's when you're in a relationship with somebody or dating, and you have your friend group and you go out and you do your own thing, and he or she start to make comments about it, how much time you're spending with them, why you're going out with them, how much he wants to spend time with you, how much he misses you, how much he wants to be with you in that time. So this is what they're trying to do at that time. It's isolation actually. So you just give your time to them. Ultimately, that these red flags, I'm just giving the warnings, but the main thing that we need to do, we need to work on our self-worth, because if we have a very healthy self-worth, we're not going to let him to talk to us this way, right? We're not going to let somebody that isolate us from our friendship and our groups and maybe even our social environment, in the same time refer us to their partner straight away, or maybe just move in with us or want to move in with us, and just making such serious commitments. These are red flags. And what happens is, if someone doesn't have really healthy boundaries and very healthy self-worth, they're going to start to see that as a compliment, or some of the things that it could look serious, and they might just not take it seriously, say he's joking, yeah, it's not even serious. But it's very important for us to listen, because people actually always tell us who they are, but it's us, we don't want to believe it and we don't want to hear it. And after a while, that when we look back, we're like, actually, he said this to me. Like, I remember the day, she actually referred the exact words, but I didn't think that it was serious. I thought it was a joke, because I thought it was too extreme to be serious. So it's very important for us to listen, actually really ask, like, do I actually mean that? And maybe just set those boundaries, and then we'll question that again, maybe in a different time, and say, hey, you said that, like, did you mean that? How do you mean? Like, how are you referring to? Is it something that you done in your past relationship? So just question. If something doesn't sit right with you, don't dismiss it, don't ignore it, just ask questions. And you have every right to ask questions in that relationship. In my experience, majority of the time for the girls, sometimes guys as well, girls are too worried to be called as a nag, so they choose not to ask questions because they want to act cool. Like, if you're in this relationship or if you're dating with somebody, you have every right to ask questions, as many questions as you want. If something doesn't sit right with you, you're not a nag, you're not annoying, and you're not being demanding, you're not being needy. Because if you don't, and if you think that, oh, it's better because I want to act cool, then I don't ask these questions will come back to you. It's not going to be the ideal situation. It's going to cause you a lot of problems. And the other thing is that in red flags, just listen how they're referring to their ex-partner, ex-husband, ex-wife, ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, whatever it could be. Look, we all have at least one bad relationship. Maybe for some of us that we have abusive relationship, maybe for some people referred to as a toxic relationship. Some of us that have been through that, and then we got our lessons. But notice their language. Is it every single of their girlfriend or boyfriend? Are they crazy? Are they abusive? Are they needy? Because if every single girl, every single guy in the past that they had in a relationship with, they've been labeled or referred to something like crazy, narcissist, and this and that, whatever it might be, the one thing that I can guarantee you is that you are going to be the one called crazy too. So one person, maybe one bad relationship, it's okay. We all make mistakes. We all make bad judgments. But if it's been referred, all of them in the same way, it's red flags, and we just need to make sure that we don't dismiss that. We start to ask questions, because it says more about that person than their ex-partners. The other thing is that, again, listen to how they talk about their parents. and how they talk about their friends. It just gives a great indication if they talk really badly about their parents, if they talk really badly about their friends, or maybe even worse, that they have absolutely no friends. These are the things that are important. And again, you might just be like, oh, Dilara, for God's sake, like, this is such common sense. It's not that common. Some of us are vulnerable. Some of us, we just want to be savior. We want to be nurtured, and we're the easy target. So the reason that I'm sharing with these red flags, listen to what they say. Listen to how they talk about their, like I said, ex-partner, their parents, their friends, how quickly they call you their girlfriend, boyfriend, how quickly they want to move in with you, how quickly they want to move on that relationship. Because the thing is, if somebody wants to be with you in the long term, what's the rush? What's the rush? No, they will take their time. Why they can't be patient? And don't feel bad or guilty, or don't feel too much if you ask questions. Ask as many questions as you can, because this is the time for you to ask those questions. Because if you let it carry on like this, if you dismiss these red flags, you are going to get to the point that you're going to look after for a while. It's going to be complete disaster. You're going to be exhausted and drained and most probably abused. And you're going to look back and you are going to be that crazy girlfriend. You're going to be the abusive girlfriend, or you are going to be the one who's been really quickly had the relationship and left and just moved to the next one. This is only a 10 minutes video. There's so many red flags as well. Let me know that if you want me to share more, and also if you notice that different red flags, please share. I would love to hear it, and it will be very beneficial for other people as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hey, it's Dilara. Today is the day. Okay.